Xbox abandoned the plan to focus on what really counts. What's up, y'all? I'm Ray, and this is my channel, Xbox Ready, where we get on and we talk about Xbox stuff. The latest news, rumors, games, accessories, pretty much anything I want to talk about as long as it's about Xbox in some way. And in today's video, we're going to talk about how Xbox canceled one of its biggest upcoming projects, and why it's actually a really smart move. So leading up to the Xbox showcase, there was a ton of buzz, rumors, talk about the next generation Xbox consoles. Even before that, it feels like just the other day when we were hearing all these reports about new Xbox consoles coming out in 2027. One of them was going to be a handheld, the other was going to be a more familiar, traditional, flagship Series X-like console. And then of course, before that, in 2025, we were going to get this mysterious Project Kennen, a partnered gaming OEM handheld. And of course, now we know what Project Kennen is. It's the Xbox Ally and the Xbox Ally X from Asus, sporting a new UI and all sorts of other fancy stuff. And as much as they want to say that these new handhelds that Asus is coming out with, oh, they're Xboxes. This is an Xbox 2, just like your phone, just like your laptop or your Samsung or LG TVs. The truth of the matter is that it is a handheld gaming PC like the previous iterations of the Ally, like other gaming handhelds you see on the market. It can play Xbox games, but it's the PC versions of those games. Unlike a real Xbox, like your Series X, S, even your Xbox Ones, it cannot play the Xbox console versions of those games. They're trying to mitigate this by ramping up their focus on Xbox Play Anywhere, and they're doing a decent job. More and more titles are getting that support, including all of the games that we saw in the Xbox showcase. Right now, it's sitting at about like 1,000 games on the Play Anywhere list, but that is just a drop in the ocean, my friends, compared to all of the Xbox games that have been released over the past couple of decades. Which is why me and a bunch of other people out there were looking forward to a first-party Xbox handheld, straight from the source. However, after months of rumors, Phil Spencer teasing a first-party handheld, they finally acknowledged its existence, and then it hit a snag, because the Lenovo Legion Go S came out powered by SteamOS, and it was basically discovered that games running on the same hardware, in this case the Legion Go S, ran better on SteamOS than they did on Windows. And then Xbox, Microsoft, they were like, hold up, we gotta pause production on our handheld so we can figure this out. We can't have SteamOS running laps around us anymore. So we're gonna pause production on our stuff so we can make this right. Well, it turns out that pause, it's gonna be a lot longer than we thought, if not indefinite. Because according to Tom Warren over at The Verge, which corroborated those initial rumors about the new Xbox consoles coming out in 2027, the true first-party Xbox handheld is essentially canceled, as the company focuses more on their software. This is disappointing for a few reasons, a couple of which I mentioned earlier in the video. I was excited to see this handheld console war, where Nintendo's making a handheld, Valve's making a handheld, all these other companies like Asus and Lenovo are making handhelds, PlayStation apparently going to make one too. More options in the market is always a better thing. We also could have potentially saw their first party device being cheaper than these other options. Theoretically, they could have sold them more at a loss because they're expecting people to subscribe to Game Pass and otherwise subsidize their purchase through buying games through the Microsoft Store. But if it's gonna have other storefronts like Steam, Epic, Battle.net, that's not a guarantee like the one Valve has when they sell someone a Steam Deck. Valve is kind of creeping in the background with SteamOS. They're putting it on other devices, reaching out to other hardware manufacturers, all that, which we know 100% is something that Xbox wants to do. So maybe they're also taking this opportunity to be like, okay, let's supercharge our efforts into building this Xbox OS, Xbox full screen experience, so we can catch up to Valve a little bit, so we can make other partner devices outside of Asus. On the other end, I see why they did this. It makes total sense, and to be honest, it's not really surprising to me because I was just talking about this exact scenario maybe a couple of weeks ago, tops. And it's entirely possible that, yes, while we know that they're investing in it, they want to make a handheld of their own, I wouldn't say it's totally off off the board to just say, hey, you know what? Screw that handheld that we were developing for ourselves. Let's just license out our name to these third-party handheld makers like Asus, like Lenovo, and have them make a handheld Xbox. Just going off of my small corner of the internet, my audience, the majority of which are Xbox console owners, while there are a lot of people out there that thought a handheld would be cool, whether it's the Xbox Ally or the first-party one that they were working on, it seems that the vast majority of straight-up Xbox fans were like, yeah, that's cool, but I personally wouldn't get one. And I have to assume that Microsoft and Xbox is also aware of this. It feels like they had a moment where they were like, wait a minute, hold on. Why are we making a first-party handheld, specifically an Xbox handheld that runs Xbox versions of the game, not the PC ones? The people who would be interested in buying something like that, probably just a small percentage of people in our existing console player base. Why are we going through the trouble of making this hardware again when we can just make an Xbox OS or the Xbox full screen experience and then partner up with people like Asus, who's already making the handhelds anyway? Let me remind you of Xbox's current ambition to turn every screen into an Xbox, focusing on the software portion, furthering this Xbox full screen experience, and also building up cloud gaming. That seems to align more with that goal than pumping out more hardware and hoping people will buy it. And it seems like they're going full steam ahead on that collaboration between Xbox and Windows. Earlier this week on the Xbox official podcast, Phil Spencer said, "This is the tightest collaboration I've seen between the gaming organization and the Windows team in my 3 decades at the company. For 25 years almost, we've been working on a console experience where you turn it on and it works and your games are there. And how do we bring that to the Windows ecosystem so you get the freedom of Windows to use the storefronts and apps you want to use, but it feels like a device that's purpose-built? And why stop there? Why just have this new Xbox full screen experience on these two handhelds, the Xbox Ally and the Xbox Ally X? Why not shop it around? Why not let me, your old buddy Ray, download or update it so I can use it on my regular ROG Ally? Either they recognize that there weren't a ton of people out there that would spring for a first-party Xbox handheld that could support their existing Xbox library, or maybe there are some conditions involving this partnership that they have with Asus that we may not know about. Because honestly, it would be pretty messed up if they were like, yeah, Asus, let's partner up, let's make a handheld, let's market it as an Xbox handheld, and then, you know, once we figure out all the kinks and stuff, we're gonna release our own. This is also a reflection of this overall broader strategy that they've adopted over the past couple of years. Sure, they're gonna keep supporting consoles, but they've recognized that's not where the growth is. We've seen them go way harder in terms of growing their presence on PC and cloud. So hey, why make this first-party handheld that's geared towards the console market when they can just put their OS on handheld gaming PCs? There's just a lot more flexibility there, and clearly what they've been focused on. So the Xbox handheld is out, but this brings up a lot more questions about the console that comes after the Series X and S. We know for sure that they're working on it, the console that's gonna deliver the biggest technological leap in generation history, gonna make us poop our pants. Is there a possibility it might get canceled? Sure, a little bit. Never say never. They canceled Project Keystone. The handheld is essentially canceled. But at this point, I think they honestly have to deliver one more console. Beyond that, I don't know. But they can't just not release a console. Not yet, anyway. They're essentially making it for guys like you and me, guys who are interested still in an Xbox console. And with the handheld essentially sidelined for now or canceled, they have even more resources to dedicate to the next-gen flagship Xbox console, which is what their fans really want. If you're like me and you really want the new Xbox hardware, there's not gonna be a question of, oh, should I buy the handheld or should I buy the Series X2 or whatever the hell they're gonna name it. If you want a handheld fix, if you think the Xbox Ally looks cool, you can go ahead and buy that. But that serves a different audience than the dude that's gonna buy the Series X2. I might be giving them too much credit, but I think they realize that as well. And by focusing on their software, what they showed us with the Xbox full screen experience this past week at the showcase, not only are they perfecting it for devices like the Xbox Ally or Xbox Ally X, if the Series X2 Plus or whatever is really gonna be also this hybrid between a console and a PC, all of that work that they're doing on the Xbox OS will make the next flagship Xbox console that much cooler. And they won't have to make compromises with it. They won't have to worry about all the things that hold back gaming handhelds, battery life, efficiency, because it's going to be in a standard tower. And in this world where where people are demanding, expecting top-tier graphics, performance, as well as a seamless UI experience, that's gonna be huge for them. Essentially canceling the Xbox handheld, it allows Microsoft, it allows the team at Xbox to focus on what they know, what they're good at, making these consoles that fit in your entertainment center, plug into your TV. I'm sure the Xbox handheld was gonna be cool, or it was shaping up to be cool, but that's just not their thing, man. Historically, that's never been their thing, ever. Which makes sense why they would want to partner with someone like Asus, someone who's already made a Windows-powered gaming handheld. All of this to say that I don't think we're really losing anything as fans with this announcement. If you really, really want to play Xbox games on the go, they've given us plenty of ways to do that with remote play, with cloud streaming, and with devices like the ROG Ally. And sure, maybe you want to play Xbox versions natively on a handheld. But if I'm just going with my gut, again, what I've observed on my own channel, I don't think that's enough people for Microsoft to drop a ton of cash in producing their own handheld. I think there's a very good chance that in 5-10 years, we'll look back on this and be like, yeah, it makes sense. That it ultimately became a good move for Xbox to cancel their handheld. It otherwise would have been a giant waste of money and time for them. And if this next Xbox console that's supposed to be kind of like a PC multiple storefront situation comes out and it's a total banger, we'll look back on it and be like, yeah, thank God they ended up focusing on that console instead of splitting their focus between that and a handheld, because what we got was a lot cooler. I'm operating under the assumption that we're not gonna get a first-party Xbox handheld, so let's swing over to the handheld that we know we are actually gonna get, the Xbox Ally and the Xbox Ally X. Now, if you've been keeping up with me and Xbox Ready, you know that this past week I got to demo these for a little bit, specifically the Xbox Ally X, the beefier version. They gave a tentative release for holiday 2025, but there were no other details, no release date, month, no pricing information. When I was in the demo, the presentation, they made it very clear that they were still working out a few kinks, so we won't get that information until a little bit later, but it looks like we may have a clue as to what these things will be priced at and when we can expect pre-orders to open up. These were allegedly, apparently, I gotta say that this is a rumor, this is not hard fact. Both of these things were leaked by none other than the fake insider Xtasis, who we've talked about on the channel multiple times. He says that pre-orders are going to open up for this thing, the Xbox Ally and the Xbox Ally X, in August, and then they'll be releasing in October. As far as pricing goes, the white version, just the Xbox Ally, the lesser of the two, basically the Series S of the two, it's going to be around 600 euros or maybe around 500 bucks, with the Xbox Ally X being 900 euros, around 800 bucks. I'd say that's about right. I was thinking like 550 for the white one, around 800 for the black one, the Xbox Ally X. Of course, these could absolutely change because I don't know if you've taken a look around the world, but there's a lot of crazy economic stuff happening, so the prices could rise. The ROG Ally X, the most recent handheld that Asus put out, that's already at $900, so I could see it going as much as 900, if not a little bit more, like 950. But maybe Xbox is subsidizing this in a way to bring the price down, keep it a little bit lower. But yeah, this makes total sense. Even if it's not like leaked or confirmed, that feels like a reasonable price based off of these other handhelds that we're already seeing in the market. And now $800 for a video game console, that seems kind of crazy. Obviously the PS5 Pro and the Switch 2 both got a lot of flack on the internet because of their prices. But considering the versatility of the Xbox Ally X specifically, I don't think it's that egregious. It looked awesome in handheld mode. It looked awesome decked, playing on a TV. I could totally see someone using this as their main console, especially given that friendly interface with the full screen Xbox experience and also that Game Pass integration. The chip in the Xbox Ally X, specifically, they talked about like it was future-proof because it had that AI capability built in. Future-proof was at least the hope that as the years went on, games got more advanced, it would be able to utilize AI technology to basically juice up the performance of this thing and keep it viable for a little bit longer. Anyways, guys, that's all the Xbox stuff I have to talk about today. Thanks so much for joining me for another edition of Xbox Ready. If you made it this far into the video, consider subscribing. I'm so used to saying help me on my journey to 200,000 subs. I gotta set a new goal now. How about 250,000 subs? Let's start there. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.